Yeah, good morning everyone. My name is Julius Ngoma. I'm working with the Cisonecc Secretariat as National Coordinator. Civil society has been focusing on in terms of advancing at national level, but also even at international level. We know the state, the environment, and also climate change has always been somehow deteriorating. If you look at the way, for example, our natural resources are actually being managed, the way we are responding to climate change, the way we are responding to disasters, the way the government is actually not prioritizing, but also not taking action, tangible action, so that at least we can be able to address some of these issues. The bottom line is that for whatever discussion we have, whether Parliament or at the executive level of government, whenever we talk about economic transformation and reducing poverty, we cannot be discussing these issues without necessarily also looking at how we want to address the fundamental issues that are actually affecting the people's livelihoods and also affecting the very basic issue that we focus on when we talk about economic. The Cisonecc government's plan, the SONA also outlines the measures put in place to accelerate delivery of government's key priorities. The civil society in climate change, environment, natural resources and disaster risk management sector is however concerned with the lack of prioritization and action on several issues related to the sector as follows. So the first part is talking about the transparency and accountability in climate financing. In 2019, Malawi achieved a milestone towards climate financing by establishing the National Climate Change Management Fund. In the same year, 2019, government established a carbon levy to support climate change interventions in the country. However, the Climate Change Fund is yet to be an amount favor disaster response, and not much focus is put on to reduce the vulnerabilities of people and ecosystems at risk through disaster risk reduction. Meanwhile, years have passed, the civil society organizations are still lobbying. In addition, fixing the agriculture system to achieve food security for Malawians must include investing in strong infrastructure for harvesting the runoff water for irrigation purposes after the rainfall season, rather than letting it to lose and destroy lives and property of Malawians. Organizations and communities can implement climate change adaptation interventions, but there is a need for government to redirect the focus on disasters to disaster risk reduction. So the main point is we really need to see our government to enact as quick as possible the disaster risk management bill, which is going to actually replace the old Act of 1991, which is only focusing on response and not risk reduction and management. And I would actually pass it on to my colleague to take you through the other issues that are highlighted in this paper. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Continuing to what Julius has said, as of now, we are talking of water harvesting. You can see a lot of water has run off, and it's just like passing through. And there is a very important area that we can think about that, but we are also thinking of promotion of solar powered irrigation farming. Cisonecc commends government for embracing irrigation through implementation of programs and projects such as the Chile Valley transformation program, that maybe we have all heard about it, program for rural irrigation development, and the Malawi watershed services improvement project to adapt to the impacts of drought and intermittent rainfall. However, with 4% of Malawi's population comprised of people aged 65 or older use manual red pumps as of now. It is a setback considering that their productive capacities is really lower. As such, promotion of solar-powered irrigation pumps is a must if the adaptation needs of these vulnerable groups of people are to be met. We have been using diesel engines for some time. We have been using treadle pumps for some time, but we feel we are not at that level now, considering where we are. As the much focus is put on the affordable AIP, government must also put much emphasis and financial support on the solar powered irrigation to utilize the waters of Malawi's lakes and rivers. This will improve our production and contribute to the achievement of food security for all Malawians. You will see we have got good waters, we have got a lake, we have got rivers, but sometimes you find that we are saying that we are hungry. So we have got all the resources that we can build on irrigation, and we are looking forward to the government to say how best we can do that. Some countries, they don't have even rainfall, they don't have even a lake as we have, but they are food secure. Then we are also looking at promotion of farming as a business. You agree with me? We have been talking of farming as smallholder farmers being 85%. So agribusiness is one of the alternatives that saves natural resources from degrading, as it provides a stable source of income. It is highly commendable that government is embracing agriculture commercialization through the implementation of projects such as the Agriculture Commercialization Project, the AGCOM. It's a way to go, and they are looking at cooperatives, people that are organized, and the small order. And they are also looking at promoting access to clean energy. This is very much key. And the Cisonecc commends government efforts in supporting small-scale processing and value additional activities in rural communities by connecting them to electricity grid, paying for it. And that is despite of other initiatives such as the Malawi Rural Electrification Program have been started over 4 decades ago. That was 1980. And I believe most of us here, where we are coming from in our villages, this would have benefited our villages. So it's not something that is new, but it is, if you can reflect from where you are coming from. Notably, access to clean energy, that is solar power, has showed evidence of reducing poverty, transforming rural economies, and improving productivity. The government invests more in other clean energy sources, e.g. solar, the LPGs, and the support similar investments as done through the JCM Solar PV project.
The 6th point is on embracing resilience building in transport and public works. As highlighted by Mr. President, any country's economic productivity is affected by the quality and quantity of its infrastructure. Climate change-related disasters such as heavy rains, floods, and strong winds have just recently crippled the road network in Malawi. This is not the first of its kind, it's been happening. Whenever there are floods, you know that roads, systems, infrastructures will get destroyed. Occurrence of floods that destroy roads and bridges are a call for change in our attitude to construction. Damage to roads and bridges bar people from accessing essential services such as health care, education, and markets, among others. In the updated climate change learning strategy of 2021, schools have been highlighted as one of the institutions for raising awareness about climate change and its management. We hope this gets through to implementation. If access to such institutions is denied, the future generation will fail to appreciate and contribute to safeguarding the environment. Rendering the fate of Malawi's climate at the mercy of an environmental and conscious generation if we don't take action in embedding principles of environmental sustainability in our children. Therefore, as disaster recovery and response plans and projects are being initiated, government must be strict on inspecting infrastructures that are being developed to ensure that they are of high quality standards, they are climate proof to withstand climate-related hazards and disasters. This will ensure uninterrupted access to education, agriculture, and health services and progressive development. Malawi must build to last. In other governments, when flooding or other climate-related disasters take place, it does not stop access to services. Let us have a Malawi of that resilient nature. The seventh point is on integrating gender in climate change. Gender is a very important aspect in the fight against climate change in Malawi and the world over. Over 50% of Malawi's population are females. However, according to the World Bank, as of 2020, the gender equality rate was at 1%. Evidence of continued disparities in status, power, or access to and control over resources is still in favor of males. Malawi and the world at large recognizes that women are the most affected by the impacts of climate change. Contributors to the country's agriculture sector through subsistence farming. There are also household managers that have to trek long distances to fetch water and fuel wood. It is commendable that the government has intensified awareness campaigns on violence against women and girls. However, addressing gender issues, including gender-based violence, requires more than just civic education. It needs a change in our attitudes, a change in our knowledge and practices for us and also for future perpetrators. Government should move from mainstreaming gender to taking gender transformative actions, including in climate change, natural resources, environmental and disaster risk management, which will go beyond mere awareness, but promote practice at all levels, especially at household level. We are calling for gender transformative actions. Cisonecc will continue to emphasize that until men, boys, women and girls start enjoying the same human rights, same respect in communities, same opportunities, same access to resources, and same decision-making power, more women and girls will continue to suffer greatly from the negative impacts of climate change. So we need gender transformative actions now. The 8th point is on enforcement of mining laws and regulations. Mining, though a catalyst for restructuring the economy, has the potential to negatively affect the environment if not done with the necessary precautionary measures. Mine exploration can result in deforestation, and we have seen this happen. Mining can result in erosion. It results in contamination of local streams and wetlands. If you just go around to see where people are mining gold, mining gemstones, you'll see the evidence of environmental destruction that we are talking about. While Malawi is still in the early stages of exploring the mining sector, and as government designated the Reserve Bank of Malawi to be a sole domestic buyer for gold in the country, government must also establish a mining protection authority to safeguard the environment. It's the only one we have. And ensure environmental restoration is upheld through enforcement of Mines and Minerals Act.
Which we will continue to nurture with government, and if at all overcoming most of the external shocks is what is required to achieve Malawi's priorities as a nation, then the environment, climate change, and disaster risk management sector must be a priority in both word and action. Especially that now, as we are here, we are all breathing the air. The air that is we are breathing here is part of the environment. The water that we drink is part of the environment. And wherever we are is part of the environment. So we don't want to emphasize the point on the importance of environment. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. So that's all for the statements. I hope we clarified most of the issues. Our role here was just to read a statement that has been prepared by the civil society under the Cisonecc umbrella, and it has been signed by myself and the board chairperson for civil society network on climate change. And just to remind you that Cisonecc is an umbrella organization that is it's a membership organization.
My name is Hosti Kadoga from Zagrebian TV. Mimi nafikiri kusamjio. Magababu dituzi
From which
Zagrebian TV. Magababu dituzi kuzombi kuzomezi kashe mbele kama solutions. Mina mafubu ina msitabani kumulituri rumana na magababu ditu kumina mungu idakazi za alamu chalona hali yangu mwanzo ambapo kazi za alamu magababu za mining production authority kumina ukanini tumu kusolana siusiana mambili ndi la watiwaso wani mpira kuzudani kuli mina sejili kuwa mekula umakala kumumina tuliwoma limpe lubira kumufuniga sonito kani na kumina zabanga pochi kudizikimezi ziteke kwa liba ngarikungu la Cisonecc mubanga kuzudani kuli mezi boma limpe nukuzibanga implementi kuli zikale zili makula kuwa.
My question mainly has to do with the issue of energy, which is a big problem now at this point in time. I just wanted to find out from Cisonecc. We understand that the feasibility report for the Kamwamba coal plant is now out. I just wanted to find out, Cisonecc, have you taken interest to find out what is in this report? And as Cisonecc, what's your stand on the Kamwamba coal plant? Thank you.
Thank you, Edparso, for the question. Yes, as civil society network on climate change, we take part in the budget consultations. Bear in mind that Cisonecc is a member-based organization, so we have over 50 NGOs, national, international, and also even local CBOs that are part of this network, and individually we encourage them to be taking part in these pre-budget consultations across the regions, so in the south, in the center, and also in the north. But also as the Cisonecc Secretariat, we also take our keen interest to actually be part of these pre-budget consultations. And usually we share with the Minister and the Minister officials our take on different issues that we want the government to take into considerations. So it's a yes to that question. Second question, thanks to that in TV, you're talking about the disaster risk management bill, and then the mining protection authority, and what are we doing on this as a network. I think we have a long history in terms of engaging government on the disaster risk management bill. I think we've had so many sessions where we had one-on-ones with government. We've also to take on the last question that was actually presented on how have we been engaging the parliamentary committees. So on the disaster risk management bill, we have a long history of engagements with government at all levels. So we engaged the executive arm of government through the Department of Disaster Management Affairs and other relevant bodies that are actually managing disasters. The Ministry of Natural Resources, we've engaged the parliamentary committees, different committees. I think what we haven't gone as a step further is to engage the full council, if so to say, all parliamentarians at once to actually sensitize them on this bill. But we've taken our approach to meet the different committees of Parliament, like the Committee on Natural Resources and Climate Change, the Committee on Budget and Finance, the Committee on the Women Caucus. We've all engaged them on this bill. They know what it is all about, and we continue to engage them. Since the parliamentary session, we still continue having plans to actually engage federal committees on this bill so that it can be fast, as quick as possible. We also understand that maybe it's not only the issue of engaging the parliamentarians for this bill to be progressing in terms of this development. It's also a question of meeting other important stakeholders like the minister, and if possible, we want to actually engage the president on this issue, because the bill has actually taken so long, unnecessarily long, and expected. You can even be talking about over 10 years now. We are developing the disaster risk management bill, but if you can see how these disasters from the cycles that we have are actually teaching us lessons, then I think as a country we need to make sure that we have a very strong act or bill that will also help us in terms of rehabilitation, but also making sure that we are addressing the risks, the underlying risks, and also preparation evidence. Just to mention that the 1991 Act only helps us as a country to be responding. But the response, as you have actually noted for the last couple of decades, has not helped us in terms of making sure that we are actually managing the underlying risks. and then vulnerabilities, and also managing the different hazards. So we need a bill that can, an act that can help us to address disaster risk management in general. So I hope I've taken the question rightly. So on what we have done on the DRN bill, now the Mining Protection Authority, we're still engaging governments through our partners. We have the Natural Resources Justice Network that's also we contribute to the work. They are better placed to actually assist us to push government to actually make sure that the Mining Protection Authority is also in place. The feasibility study on the Kambamba, yes, we are aware that the report is out, and as civil society we are taking all the necessary measures so that we know what is provided what is actually included in the feasibility study, and we are also looking forward to actually putting forward our position on this issue. Because if you have, I think as Cisonecc we've also come a long way in terms of advancing issues to do with renewable energy. We have been advocating against a development of the coal-fired power plant, especially the Kambamba coal-fired power plants. We've done some work around the area, and we are still concerned with the fact that the government wants to still pursue this issue, and then we are going to also take necessary measures to make sure that whatever plans are there by the government to advance this issue, then I think proper and necessary measures should actually be taken. Otherwise, I think this is not, it's against the same values that we want to advance, that as a country, we also need to advance clean energy and technology solutions. So thank you. I don't know if I've jumped any questions, can be reminded. But I also want to ask my two colleagues if they can also input or comment on these questions. Thank you.
Maybe just briefly, regarding mining is an area that is very important, and if we don't do it well, it can also affect the environment. So as already said, we are working together with our colleagues like the chairman of mining, Mr. Kosa Mkali, with focus in Toronto, and today we may not be able to give the details, but as Cisonecc, with the environment, sometimes mining can affect the environment. Equally, with the, maybe if we are talking of even to do with the oil and the like. So it's an area that we also have a keen interest in that one.
So, as this is the end, we really thank you very much for coming to this press conference, and as the media, we really appreciate you, and we ask you to help us in disseminating this information to the general public and even those in authority.
It's game night. You invite friends over. You switch on your TV, your cable bill is overdue. You try to stream the game online, your Wi-Fi needs recharging. You try to watch it on your phone, you're low on data. You head over to the closest sports bar just in time to hear the ref blow the final whistle. Or you do things the smart way. Recharge and manage all your devices with one click on the My Airtel app.
Super 5 jackpot, the biggest jackpot ever. Win 20 million Malawi